when I move each individual vertebrae at a time. And actually, when I worked with Dr. Moses Bernard on this, I was sweating worse than a politician telling the truth, man. I was dying. All right, so part of the workout, warm up, whatever's been done. And I want to talk about the main focus of this video, which is how I'm going to cure the world of back pain. Now you might be thinking to yourself, how is this video going to help? Well, I'll explain to you why I believe that this is a better way to approach back pain, where to start, and ultimately how to know where exactly your back is affecting you. So let's get it started. When it comes to the back, it's very important to know the motions of the back, okay? It's important to know all the joints' motions. But let's talk about the back specifically. AKA, when I talk about the back, I'm talking about the spine, okay? This is irrelevant from all the muscles your gym bros talk about, you know, the lats, the rhomboids, the deltoids, the schmomboids, all those kinds of things. They are very relevant. But when it comes to the spine, more in particular, it's the bones that are relevant, all right? And when you got the spine as a whole, I know that, you know, you just got to use your imagination right now and just imagine that this is the spine. You got these segments in the spine. You know that L5, L4, T12, 290, S64. Basically, you have all these segments, right? And these are the bones of the spine. Now, what are the motions of the spine? Let's break it down, baby, okay? First motions that are important are flexing the spine and extending the spine. You see what I'm saying? Y'all seen this before. Y'all seen this in yoga class. Don't act like you haven't, okay? That's what's called linear motion. Basically, it's just that up and down motion. That's going to be very important. So lock in on that. Next up, we got twisting motion, right? You know, the spine can twist. It might be millimeters, it might be inches, but every inch, every range counts, right? So we got the twisting. And we got side to side bending. This is lateral motion. Oh yeah, this looks sick. So to recap, we got the linear motion, we got extending and flexing, we have rotational motion, twisting, and we have lateral motion, left, right. Kind of self-explanatory, but that's what the back does. Like, it's really not more complicated than that. Like, that's what the spine does. Those three motions, obviously there's, you know, each vertebrae has its own individual motion. You know, the spine's not just one thing. They're each individual things. And ultimately, that's what the spine does, right? It just really boils down to those. Now, the spine's kind of tricky, okay? Because I talked about the Blue's Clues. I talked about the Blue's Clues, aka the blueprint of the spine. And the spine's tricky because the most important motion of the spine is that extending down and flexing of the spine. So let's demo again. You know, we got because we're gonna segment it here in a little bit, you know what I mean? I'm like a segmenting tree in the forest, all right? Now, without getting too complicated, the reason why that motion is extremely important, especially with the spine, is that you cannot, did you hear that? You cannot laterally move or rotationally move the spine without flexing or extending it, even in the slightest, okay? So, to go back to what we were talking about with that linear motion, baby, that extension flexion, you know what I'm saying? Each one of those segments need to segment up and down before it can twist, before it can bend to the side. It's gotta go down and up first, nice and easy, before it starts twisting side to side. Because, you know, you got all those individual discs, and you need to, basically your brain needs to know that, hey, these individual discs move properly before they could rotate together, before they could laterally move together. They need to flex and extend properly before those other motions can occur properly, okay? Because your brain and your body need to know that, like, your nervous system is aware that, like, hey, my back is not just one log, okay? It's got these individual vertebrae that have a mind of its own. Okay, I just rambled on. But hopefully that makes a little bit of sense, but that's where you want to start with this spine, okay? And so now we're going to demo how to start getting your spine prepared for what's to come in the future, and where to start with, like, your pain journey, your strengthening journey, because that's where it's going to lead to, and so on and so forth. So, Merry Christmas. Change of scene, because guess what? ADHD brain these days. So, you see this thing behind me? That's a chiropractor bed. You know, if you've had back pain, you've probably seen one of these before, you know? You sign up to the joint, you walk in, and you say, yo, doc, I got a little something in my L5, you know what I'm saying? And he's like, okay. When I talked about that segmentation thing, hopefully you didn't forget yet. We talked about that. What's that motion? That first one that's really important? Hold up, Blue's Clues. That's right, baby. It's that linear motion, bro. The segmentation, that extension, and that flexion, baby. So, y'all seen the cat-cow before in that yoga class. Don't act like you haven't gone there, especially for the gym bros, you know? There's probably that girl you had a crush on. You're like, yo, I'll do this yoga thing. You did it, and you're like, dude, this is kind of weird. But you stayed there anyways. Anyways, so this is the full spine motion, you know, as one unit. But that's not what I want, ultimately, okay? Hopefully you can't hear the gym in the background. What I want is for you to work on the segmentation, okay? And that is that good old, what do we do? Extension, okay? Hey, I'm still working on it too. I ain't perfect yet. All the way from that lower back to the neck and then back. Okay, back into flexion. Okay, and we're trying to focus. And now, the thing is, we're trying to focus on each individual spine motion at a time, all right? And now what you're thinking is, holy crap, I don't think I can do that. And I got you, okay? It takes work, okay? I'm not a pro at it, but I've been working on it. Your boy's been putting in them hours, you know what I mean? Because it's all about them reps. It's all about the numbers, okay? So, you might be thinking to yourself, where do I start? Because a lot of the times when I tell people to do this, I'm like, yo, move that spine. Guess what? They move everything but their spine. They start doing this. They start doing that stanky. You know what I'm saying? They start doing all kinds of stuff. And now, but you know what? I'm there to guide you. I'm there to help you. So where do we start? So let's say you can do, hopefully you can do this. But if you can't even do this, don't worry, we'll get to that in a moment. Hopefully you can just combine the motion into one, okay? So if you can do that, we're off to a good start. Now, like I said, that's the first part without moving the elbows, without moving the hips, whatever. Now, second up, can we just move the lower back? Can we just twerk? Okay, can we just twerk? Got it. Okay, now, can we just move the upper back? Okay, my upper back's actually really hard to work on. And believe it or not, there's not much motion in that upper back, okay? You might think there's a lot, but there's not. So you get the point. You want to break the back down into parts, maybe like lower, upper. See if you can flex and extend those first. If you're having a really tough time, you can get a towel or a light band like your boy has right here, because we always got them bands on deck. You know what I'm saying? Bands do what? Make them no. Anyways, so we got it to our good old L5, whatever the hell's down there. And we're going to extend and we're going to flex. And believe it or not, this is good training. Don't let people lie to you. This is good training, bro. This is some sick training right here. If anybody sees you doing this in the corner of the gym, you're like, bro, you know how many scoops of pre-workout I did before this? Too many. And that's what you got to do, bro. I don't care, man. People think this is a joke. This ain't no Mickey Mouse games right now. We're training, okay? So treat this like sets. Treat that like training, you know, get the band, okay? Get that little bit of resistance, that little bit of manual feedback. Or if you actually have friends in the gym, you can have your friends just, you know, start hitting that part as you're extending or flexing or whatever. You can have your friends touching that. That way you're actually getting some feedback in your brains like, oh my God, okay, this is what you want me to do. You see what I'm saying? So let's slow it down and let's recap. So the part of that band is just to, and as you can see, you know, you can move it, you know, you can change up the location of it too. Okay, so now we're just working on that one part. And I need work on this too. I ain't gonna lie. I'm not gonna sit here and just be like, yo, I'm a pro. No. But y'all probably thinking, what the hell am I doing? Well, that's starting to strengthen, create that motion in that back, connecting your brain, your nervous system to those parts. Okay, that way your brain actually knows how to use the parts of your spine instead of it just clumping together, staying stuck because it's like afraid to move in these ranges of motion, okay? Because life demands these ranges of motion, okay? We just need to re-identify them in the body. So that's kind of where you need to start, okay? That's a good place to start. And now I know what you're thinking. Y'all are probably like, oh my God, even this is a nightmare for me. So let's go on to another step down. We're working our way back now. But ultimately, this is the goal. And I don't care. I don't care. If you're serious, take pre-workout, bro. Take your caffeine, take your alpha GPCs, take your Focus, take your nootropics, take your Adderall, if you have a doctor's prescription. Take your Adderall. I'm just kidding. And focus in. Put a timer, okay? All right. 1 minute straight, 1 minute straight. I'm gonna focus as hard as I can on this, okay? And believe it or not, you might be better at extending the spine or you might be better at flexing the spine. Either way, do one set of just straight flexing, okay? Flexing, you know what I'm saying? But you wanna do a set of just straight flexion work, okay? So set the timer goes off, 1 minute of just hard, intense work of just, okay, so let's say my extension, flexion, just, flexion, that's 1 rep, okay? Reset, go back in extension, flexion. And really lock in when you do this, dude. Like I said, no Mickey Mouse games. Like, actually treat this like it's training, because it is. And this might be the most important training you do. You know, so if your back's messed up, dedicate, like have a spine day. People are like, yo, what you training today? Back, buys, legs, chest, every day? Nah, bro. I'm hitting that spine. I'm hitting that spine every day. So, but if this is brutally hard for you, I got you. All right, so here we are. Back on the greatest invention ever, AKA the wall. So like I said, if the linear motion on the ground in that quadruped position, that's what it's called, was a little bit rough, we're gonna go to the wall, all right? And now this might look like some sissy work, but I promise you, if you put your mind and your focus to this, you can do anything. Now, we might need the band, we might not. I'll show you in a second why. Now, we can segment like we did on the ground using the wall as manual feedback, okay? So, what I like to do is I get in a partial squat stance with my feet a little bit in front of the wall, 2 to 3 feet, 4 feet, who knows these days. And why we do that is because it's gonna help us keep the entire back on the wall. Because if you were just right here, oftentimes what people do is they'll have a gap from their lower back to the wall, and you don't want that, okay? So you need to make sure your entire back is flat against the wall. And you kind of wanna be flexing a little bit while you do this. You don't wanna be like a limp noodle, all right? You wanna be strong. Now, so, at least have like the main points of contact. We got the lower back, upper back, and then we got the head. Now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna cross the arms, okay? And we're gonna pray. Now, here's the thing. What ultimately this is gonna look like is this. We're gonna bring our chin to chest, peel the upper back off, okay? Try to slowly move each vertebrae at a time until we get to that lower back. okay? And then we're gonna reverse all the way back and extend. Make sure you're trying to do each individual vertebrae at a time back to the head. It doesn't gotta be perfect at first. Now, here's the big issue, because your boy's not with you, I get it. You could just be an absolute jerk off with this exercise, right? You could just straight up just be like, you know what I'm saying? And if I was there coaching you, right by your side, talking to you, I would say, what the hell are you doing? Are you serious? What happened when you were younger that made you do this? Sickening. Like I said, you need to stay strong. You need to flex through that vertebrae. You need to actually just train it like a madman. You gotta be like, dude, I'm here. I'm in this moment. I'm doing this. So, when you're doing this, you wanna just peel off. You almost wanna act like there's super glue on the freaking wall, and you're just trying to peel off your neck, your chin, which my neck's destroyed. We're not gonna talk about that today. And now the upper back, okay? Want to move each individual vertebrae at a time. And actually, when I worked with Dr. Moses Bernard on this, I was sweating worse than a politician telling the truth, man. I was dying doing this, dude, the first time. He was like, because he was there every vertebrae of the way. He was like, he wouldn't let me move off until it was just peeling off the wall, okay? So if you gotta have somebody there just pushing you, all right, and just, you look like you're gonna vomit, maybe that's what you gotta do. But this is like, in the exercise world, when you're training, this is like a Jefferson curl, okay? We're trying to, so just imagine, it's like with that weight, you know, trying to extend, flex and extend the spine. I will say this, little side note, the only reason why this isn't amazing is because there's no extension aspect. Well, you can extend, you would just look like a complete weirdo in the gym, but don't worry, I'm not afraid to show y'all that I'm a weirdo. You would have to ultimately do something like this.
Walk from the back to the front.
Okay, yeah, none of that. That's the extension way, okay? Because this, we're flexing forward and kind of coming back, so there's not too much extension, there's a lot of flexion. But hey, it's a good start, okay? And this actually is probably, if the spinal segmentation's like the first step, this is like step 0, okay? So, and the reason why we had the band here is because eventually, when you're savage, right, you can put your feet on it, kind of create some tension, and even this is a lot. And so look at this. Now, there's actually resistance, okay, with this segmentation, okay? So we're coming down, all right? And when you're coming down, think of it like a crunch, like you're trying to crunch down in your abs, okay? And then we're coming back up. But obviously, this is a little bit more experienced, okay? But if you're having a time creating that like tension for yourself, maybe having a band, light band would be good. Doing some kind of weird setup like that. So anyways, like I said, this would be step 0. Ultimately, ideally you're doing it in that quadruped, but if that's like super hard for you, actually most people, they should probably just start on the wall.
Walk from the back to the front.
You know what I'm saying? If you've never moved your spine out of neutral land, okay? This is a good place to start. So, yeah, hope that helps. So yeah, I know that was a lot of talking. I apologize. I'm just tired of people sugarcoating it, okay? But when it comes to the first steps of the spine, it is to understand the spinal motions, okay? We covered that right at the beginning, but that is where you need to start. Because how are you gonna know where the problem is if you're not able to identify exactly where it is that your body's like saying that feedback of like, maybe as you're moving a certain part of the spine, it's like, oh, this segment area, this part's giving me trouble. This is where I kind of feel that pain, okay? And if you're feeling pain, you need to identify the pain. There's like discomfort pain, and there's, ouch, holy crap, my spine's gonna explode kind of pain, okay? If it's great pain, you wanna avoid the pain, you wanna work around it, okay? But if it's like a slight discomfort, you do want to eventually train in it, okay? So hopefully you can differentiate the two. Now, what the hell was I gonna say? Spine, spinal, side, tricep. Now, you might say to yourself, well, if I'm feeling pain, should I work around it? And that's the key, work around it, okay? Because you want to make, if one small section of your spine is giving you trouble, you need to strengthen especially the parts outside of that pain area, okay? That way it's like eventually like those, basically what's happening is, well, you never know what's happening, okay? People that want to act like they know exactly what's going on in the system, they're full of baloney, okay? But basically, a safe bet would be, hey, let's strengthen the parts on the outside of that pain area, okay? That way, it gives our body a little bit more comfort of knowing, like, maybe that part of the spine that's actually in pain is actually taking most of the burden. Maybe that's the part of the spine that's actually working, and the parts around it are not working. So let's get the parts around it working better. That way we can give a little bit less ease on that part that's hurting a little too much. You know what I'm saying? So hopefully those things make sense. Like I said, these are some concepts, these are ideas, but they do, I've been putting in the work, I've been learning, they do work, okay? And if the more you listen to it, I swear it makes sense. I swear it makes sense, okay? You gotta treat the back with respect. You ain't been respecting it this whole time. You've been just neutral dog all day. You've been neutral dog all day, and you ain't been respecting the fact that the spine, I've been saying it for years. I've been saying it for years, bro. I've been saying it for years. Respect the spine. The spine can move, okay? And with all that said, I'm out on that note. Remember, all this stuff, it takes freaking heart.